Recording in progress.
Gary Foreman from your grandson's baseball practice. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are almost ready, so I'm going to go ahead and get my presentation up. I hope everybody has had a great start to the municipal elections now that early voting is underway. Hope that some of us have had a chance to early vote. I haven't yet, but I'm planning to go this weekend. Just got to make it through the work week first.
I voted as fast as I could on the first day at full speed.
That's awesome, Aiden. I would have done that if I had the opportunity. It's definitely good to get out there early.
Yeah, especially given how so many liberal naysayers were saying that there'd be no more elections after 2024, and here they're proven wrong.
Yes, that is true. All right, I think. Sorry, excuse my delay. I had it up on my other computer and it is not presenting correctly on this one. Darlene, you voted today. That's awesome. All right, and here we are. Can you all see my screen? Oh, we are a little far ahead. Can you all see my screen? Perfect. I'm seeing a thumbs up. All right, so we will go ahead and get started. And as folks trickle into the waiting room, I will be sure to let them in. This session tonight will be recorded, and I'll be sure to send it out along with the presentation. So this is just a municipal election briefing for precinct leaders, just with me tonight. So to get us started, let's talk about what we're going to talk about tonight. So I would like for this to be a fairly informal session. I think I've left some time for discussion, and I think that'll be really helpful as we all gear up for the municipal elections that are underway here. And so I will start by sharing some information. I'll take your questions and gather your input as we get going for these municipal elections. So I'll have a few specific questions for you all along the way if you want to give it some thought and share your feedback, and we can all have a little bit of a discussion. So some topics that we'll cover tonight include poll greeting, literature, and canvassing and phone banking. There will be more to come on that. David is actually not here tonight because he is at a first vice chair's call to talk about GOTV and municipal elections. So we will have additional helpful information coming out of that. So I'm really kind of building out on some of the things that he started to talk about during the precinct playbook session about the municipal elections, and some of the emails that he sent. So that's kind of how I imagine this next hour together going for us. So to get started, we will talk a little bit about poll grading, as that's kind of super important during the municipal elections. It's a great way for us to get volunteers, engage voters. So this year, we do not have the right to appoint inside poll observers, because it's a nonpartisan race. So that has not always been the case, but that is the case this time around. So that's part of what makes poll greeting even more important this year. And it's also, like I said, a great way to sign up volunteers and connect with your precinct. So poll greeting has historically been primarily a precinct level task. So we're asking you to help us out here, but we're also here to support you. So we're asking each precinct to help recruit a few volunteers to greet voters as they exit the voting site booth on especially primary election day on November 7th and general election day on November 4th. So those 2 days we really want to make sure that we have our poll greeters out there to help make sure that voting went smoothly. You can ask the voter how it went, sign up any interested volunteers, and maybe share some helpful information. So with that, we are working on getting some more Durham Dems clipboards with the new logo. I know that that's something that's been distributed in the past to our poll greeters, and so we want to make sure that we're providing those resources, and we'll also make sure that everyone has the volunteer sign-up sheet as well. So on the right, you'll just see the municipal election timeline. We're already into early voting. Sorry that I'm having this session a little late, y'all. Life caught up to me, but I'm glad that we're all having a chance to connect tonight as we continue to build this out. And so historically, some precincts have been a little bit harder to cover for poll graders. You know, the less organized precincts, we can imagine that those will be a little bit more difficult to get a poll grading operation organized there. And so in 2023, a volunteer helped organize and create sign-up sheets for each precinct and distributed those lists, which could be a model to revisit this year. So if anybody has any specific ideas on the best way to approach that or would like to help us approach that, that would be appreciated. Okay, Susan Sewell said we had plenty of clipboards. We just need the new logo to put on the back. So we'll make sure that we get those printed and put on the back for you all to have.
Yeah, I was just saying, if you hand us a logo, a lot of us will make our own.
Understood. Got it, Susan. So we'll make sure that we distribute that logo as well. And then I know that we probably have some clipboards in our storage unit to help distribute some to folks who may not have clipboards. Oh, I went too far ahead. All right. And so that is poll greeting. I want to take a little bit of a pause. There might be some of your questions that might be addressed a little bit later in the presentation, but I wanted to see if anybody had any specific questions or thoughts about poll grading. Yes, Mark.
Yeah, yes, thanks, Emerson. I guess my thought on getting some help to cover the less organized precincts would be when each of the organized precincts sends out a call for volunteers for their polling place, to just add that if anyone wants to volunteer to help cover unorganized precincts, to let us know. And then if there were a way to feed that into some central person who could, follow up with those folks. I know in our precinct, we've had one or two people who has, instead of working at the Forest Hills clubhouse, has gone to a less organized precinct to engage voters. So that's my thought.
That's awesome, Mark. Yeah, definitely. I think that'd be a great way to just funnel in some extra volunteers, and we could probably centralize all those folks with David, and he can help organize and get those folks out to where they need to be. So thanks a ton, Mark. Darlene.
Yeah, hi. When typically when we do poll greeting, we have sample ballots, which obviously we're not going to have this time, and maybe you're gonna cover this later. But I was just wondering how we approach poll greeting if we don't have anything to distribute.
So yeah, literature is something that we're going to touch on a little bit, and is also one of those things that I'd love to get your thoughts on. So Darlene, I'll get to the literature part, and then let's see what your thoughts are after that, if that sounds good. All right, any other questions before I think we head directly to literature? I see Susan Bailey sent a question in the chat. Is there a Republican primary also happening now? And can independents choose a partisan ballot? That is a fantastic question that I am not 100% sure the answer to.
Municipal elections are nonpartisan. There's only one ballot. Everybody's got the same ballot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, thank you for wrapping my head around that, Susan. Now that you say that, it seems like a very obvious answer, so appreciate your input there. All right, and then, yes, Reed, there is only one Republican on the ballot this time around. And that is it Terry McCann? Am I incorrect with that one? I might be saying that incorrectly, but Mark, I'll go ahead and take your question or comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to Dar that what we'll be doing, as I understand it, and as we plan to do in the Forest Hills precinct, is identify and engage with Democratic voters after they've voted. So I don't know if they're, unless it be a general piece of literature on how to, get in better touch with the Durham County Democratic Party, whether there be any kind of literature that we use in this. The main thing being, to get the sign up sheet, to gather contact information. If we don't already have their contact information, and in that regard, what we've done is have the poll greeters have on their clipboard the existing email blast list that we have with people's name and contact information. If we already have it, there's no need for them to pause to, fill out the form again. Anyway, so.
That's true. Yeah. Again, oops,
Emerson, do you have blank forms for signups, for volunteer signups?
We'll make sure that we get that form distributed, with like a virtual copy, so you can download it and print it if you need. And then if you also need us to help provide physical copies, we'll make sure that we can help get that sorted as well.
Right.
Awesome. And then George.
It's really Johanna.
George is on here.
No. I'm using my husband's computer, so it says George. I put my picture, my name, but
No,
George. Yeah,
George Transy. Shall I go or wait?
Well, Joanna, is your question the one that you put? Joanna, is your question the one that you put
also
in the chat?
My turn. It's got my husband's picture, but I put my name. It's Johanna, and I was asking about the Vote Today signs that we used in previous years. Is that something we need to plan for this year?
So that is something that we would love, but unfortunately, I think all of our Vote Today signs have ended up in folks' garages. So unfortunately, we don't have any Vote Today signs, but that's something that I'd love to get all y'all's thoughts on later. So I'll take George Sprancy, and then we'll move on to literature, because I think I'll probably answer a few of y'all's questions.
Well, my comment was I've got 2 Vote Today signs in my garage. We can use for our precinct. Precinct 32, so that's covered. That's 2 less you need.
Yep, they're out there somewhere. So we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat. How long does it take to procure them? The signs, that's something that's in discussion right now. So I'd love to get, again, y'all's thoughts on it in a little bit. So moving on to literature. So this year, the state party helped provide literature for each county. So this is what our literature provided by the state party that we're getting for free is going to look like. On the right, on the left, you can see what the front of it is going to look like with it. Your neighbors are doing it, vote every year, a QR code to find your closest voting site, some voting resources. And then on the back, which is a little dark because it's a screenshot, but it's going to match the coloring on the left. On the back, you're going to see all of the candidates for the Durham County city elections. So there was some discussion about this during DeVite's precinct playbook session. This is provided by the state party, so they included all of the races in Durham County. And originally, it was formatted a little bit differently, but we heard from some precinct leaders that you didn't want to use it because it was confusing to look at and not helpful. So I tried my best to work with the state party to get a little bit of a different one for us, where you have the Durham ones at the top and then the Durham County elections that are in different cities at the bottom. So I hope that's a little bit better for y'all, but we will have 2,500 pieces of this literature. I'm still waiting to hear back on the final delivery date from the state party, but I work a block away from the Goodwin House, so I'll be right there to pick it up when it's ready. And if you would like to request copies for your precinct, reach out to DeVete. And Susan Bailey says she has her Vote Today signs, which is perfect. Awesome. And so that's kind of what we have for literature. And I know you all probably have some thoughts on maybe literature coming from the county party, but I have that on the list to discuss in a little bit. So keep this in mind, but we will delve into some extra literature things in a few minutes. So next. I just want to touch on precinct requests really quickly. So expenses, if you would like to be reimbursed for an expense that your precinct has, that must be authorized before you actually pay that expense. So basically, just please let us know and ask us before you expect to be reimbursed. So reach out to Elizabeth. I think I saw her in this call somewhere for more details about that. I think they're finalizing a special form. So that'll be the way to handle that. For the event in a box, just reach out to Charlotte. And then for Vote Builder, I wanted to highlight some things from DeVete's September 15th email that broke down some details very well for the Vote Builder team. So the Vote Builder team has assigned team members to each precinct. So to access Vote Builder resources, reach out to your Vote Builder team member or use the Vote Builder email address. And highlighting specific things from that email. The Vote Builder team will provide targeted lists for canvassing, phone banking, and lit drops formatted for minivan or call tools, and this will help ensure that new contact results flow directly into Vote Builder so we can build out our lists and build out our organization and build out our voter contact for future use. And so the Vote Builder team has also worked with the communications team to develop scripts for newly registered voters, including specific outreach for 18 to 19-year-olds, and a municipal GOTV script is in progress. So that's just a little bit about resources and how to access them. And I'm going to go to the next slide, and then we'll take a break to chat some more. So ways to engage your precinct. So we would really love for you to get the message out to your precincts that the municipal primary is going on. It historically sees much lower turnout than the midterms and obviously the presidential election. So we want to encourage our neighbors to vote. So you can do that by using neighborhood listservs, your precinct email list, and at the county party, including the precinct level, we do not endorse. So the messaging there is really just encourage everyone to vote. So precinct-specific email lists have been created and placed in your precinct folders under that title. And if you need help accessing your precinct folder, reach out to DeVete and he'll make sure that you have access to that resource. And then I think messaging around precinct-specific topics or issues is a great way to engage your neighbors, especially because the municipal elections and their effects really do have a major effect on the city who's on city council. So that's a great way to help get your neighbors engaged. And then if you're interested in canvassing or phone banking within your precinct, resources include the Vote Builder team. DeVete can help you get that set up, and then NCDP has trainings for canvassing and phone banking as well. So I want to take a pause and actually skip a couple of slides ahead, and then we'll have a little bit more of an open discussion. So touching on some things I'm thinking about on the county party level is obviously we're going to help get out the excitement and engagement for municipal elections through our newsletter, text, social media, Substack, who Mindy Oshring does. She's amazing. And then something that I wanted to get you all's thoughts on is yard signs and additional literature. So those are some things that I'm thinking about. But I want to turn it around to these three specific questions for us to think about as we head into more of a discussion. What are ways that you have engaged your precinct in past municipal elections? What are your current plans for engaging your precinct in the 2025 municipal elections? And then what are your ideas, and kind of tacked onto that is how can the county parties support you? So I'd love to chat through some of these questions. And then if you have any ideas on yard signs and literature, like I said, I'd love to hear those too. So let me check the chat really quick. Joel said there are a lot of emails in my file. Is it really okay for me to contact these folks on this list out of the blue? I haven't otherwise contacted them. So it is a list of registered left-leaning folks that we have acquired through Vote Builder. So that means that they've kind of done something civic engagement wise. But I think if you have more questions about that data and how best to use that data, I would defer to the Vote Builder team or maybe David to help give you some more guidance on that. I hope that's helpful.
Okay, yeah, I can reach out to them.
Awesome. And I will open the floor if you have any ideas, if you have an answer to one of these questions, go ahead and raise your hand and let's chat about it. I'd love to make sure that we're getting your thoughts heading into municipal elections, that I'm thinking about all the things that I need to be thinking about. So, and I would love for, if we have any experienced precinct leaders on the call, if you have any ways that you've done things in the past that have worked really well for your precinct, that would be great to hear as well.
All right, so shall I go ahead now that, are you finished yet?
Yep, go ahead, Aiden.
Well, having been precinct chair for over 5 years, I've been knocking on doors. It's not my first time knocking on doors in municipal election cycles. That's doing so is where you're just saying, without endorsing any candidates, that it's important to come out and vote in your municipal elections. I always start out with saying that I'm not here for any money. I'm only here to talk about this election cycle. I gently ask, like, are you aware of the election cycle that's happening? And say that we encourage you to go vote and make your voice heard. And then that's it. We know that we've made a difference going into the midterms. That's me.
Yeah, that's great, Aiden. I think that's awesome, and it's kind of funny because some people will kind of expect that you're coming to the door asking for money. So I think it can be a good intro to be like, I'm not asking for money. I want to tell you about these municipal elections. So really, thanks for sharing, Aiden. And like I said, we're working on getting that script together for GeoTV municipals to help y'all as well. But don't feel like you have to follow that. And
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, just thank you. Just when I say we're not there for any money, that lets their guard down by a lot.
Yeah. That's a good note, Aiden. Thanks.
So I'll say a couple of things on behalf of our amazing precinct chair, Patience Vanderbilt, who's out of town and asked if I would come. For the past 3 years, we've had our annual ice cream social right before early voting starts. So we usually have a speaker and then talk about the importance of whichever election is, municipal or otherwise. And prior to doing that, we also try to identify people who are the experienced poll greeters, and then try to pair them with someone who's a volunteer. And so at that event, we'll also go around with the clipboard and try to get people to sign up to participate, and certainly ask them to talk to their neighbors. And then in our neighborhood, we have a newsletter. And so one of the people on our leadership team writes an article about a nonpartisan article about voting in the newsletter, and with information about the dates and our polling places and things like that. So kind of get some interest that way.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing, Robin. Yeah, the ice cream social is a fantastic event every year. I'm so sad that I wasn't able to make it to the most recent one. But yeah, precinct newsletters are a fantastic way to engage your precinct. And like I mentioned before, a good way to talk about precinct specific issues, based on where you live, the neighborhoods you live in. So, and having a regular newsletter can help keep folks engaged. So if you already have one, keep it going. If you don't have one, there are other precincts that have one, and reach out to them for support. I know that I meant to put the different kind of precinct area captains that David has gotten together on the slides, but I forgot. So let me know if I need to share that information with y'all. I'll be sure to put that in my follow-up email. And then I saw a comment in the chat about endorsement or candidate info. Yeah, we can't share like the Indy endorsement. We can't really share anything that'll come off as we're endorsing anybody's endorsement. So like Susan said, we also can't have candidate materials. So we have to remain fairly neutral as this is a nonpartisan election and we don't endorse in these municipal elections. And then, as Reed said, the monthly or whatever newsletter you can is great. Robin said they also send out a note about the whys and hows of poll greeting. Yeah, that's great. That's a great way to help get poll greeters involved and interested by going ahead and sharing that information. So thanks again, Robin. And I'll pass it back to Aiden.
Yes, I was just going to say that if any, I mean, I do abide by the rules of neutrality in terms of not endorsing any Democrat over the other. But if they do ask if there's a Republican on the ballot not to vote for, I would really like to be able to reference Terry's name as like the only person not to vote for.
Yes. So for clarification, you're allowed to not support the Republican, just don't endorse any Democratic candidate over another.
Right.
Sorry, my wording was a little off there. Yeah, so thanks, Aiden.
Yeah, it's just that in like Cary and Holly Springs, there's one Democrat running against one Republican, so that's not an issue. But here we've got multiple Democrats running against the other. That's just for clarity's purpose.
Yes, thanks so much for sharing, Aiden. Yeah, because we are Durham and we're such a blue city, we have a ton of Democrats running against a ton of Democrats, so we don't endorse in these municipal elections. All right, anybody else?
I have a comment, but I can't find any hand raised symbol, so I'm just talking.
Yep.
Susan Bayless. I always email a copy or a link to the Board of Elections sample ballot. And I send this out to over 300 people, and many times I get people on election day say, thank you so much for sending that ballot. So I would always recommend to people, it never hurts to remind people there's an election, and here's the people that you're going to have to choose between, so that they get thinking about it ahead of time.
Yeah, that's great, Susan. Thank you so much for sharing. And
just to be clear, the sample ballot is valid throughout the precinct. We don't have anything where people could vote differently in one part of the precinct than another.
So it would just be the sample ballot for the Durham City election. So I think in the only case that there might be differences would be if somebody lives in a different city. So like if they live in Raleigh, but they're in Durham County, or if they live in Morrisville, but they're in Durham County. Otherwise, all of the sample ballots are going to look the same and are going to have all of the candidates on them. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Susan. I think that's a great idea to send out that sample ballot and remind people that there is an election. And by the way, I'm writing down all these notes and we'll put them on a slide that will be included on the PowerPoint that I send out. So you'll have these ideas written down as well. I will go ahead, and I saw Darlene's hand first, so I'll pass it to her.
So I know lots of people who are totally unfamiliar with municipal elections, and I think it would be helpful when we're doing our vote greeting to remind people that this is just a primary and that there will be an election again on November 4th to, make the final decision on who's elected.
Yeah, that's a great note. Thanks for sharing, Darlene. Remind people that it's just a primary and that there's another opportunity to vote, that they should get out and vote during the general election. Awesome. All right, now Reed.
Hey, one thing that I don't know if, we want to do it on this cycle, but one thing I work a lot with flippancy, and one thing that was really popular is, and gets a lot of positive feedback, is just giving people their election day location, and then you duck out, basically. And it's a good opportunity, I think, for the Durham Dems to maybe do something like that. Like you're just doing a text make and you just send the early voting locations for the first time, and then you send the day of their election place. And it's always been, you always get kind of the most positive reinforcement um, from everybody, as opposed to, you know, some people not wanting more uh, email, more text from people, and you know. So just I just wanted to mention that briefly. So.
Yeah, that's a great note. Thanks for sharing, Reed. I will definitely pass that along to Jake as our wonderful communications lead. I think you're right that giving people that quick information right when the timing is right helps get people out to vote. And looking at a couple of things in the chat, it is correct that you vote for all of the wards. The ward is just where the candidate lives. And then Eileen is correct that the primary is not, as it's a nonpartisan race, is not based on the different parties, but it's the top two candidates who make it through the primary go on to the general. And on to Susan. Oh, Susan, I think you're still muted.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I put a Google Doc link to the thing that I've been working on today, which is my guidelines for my greeters. And it is based on patients' guidelines, but I've played around with it a little bit. So I think it would be great if both of those patients, and because I know patients sent you hers, if those were available to all of us to use and make it our own.
Awesome.
Anyway.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I'm saving those links
Oh.
right now to be sure. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, I didn't realize that
We
everybody
linked
was
on
trying
it.
to save those links. Okay, how do
Yeah.
I get back to Zoom? All right, there we go. Okay. Well,
Anyway, so yeah, I just, and people, it's that's hot for anybody who's got the link. So feel free to download as you wish. I think it's not any edit, it's just view. So you shouldn't mess up my document. But make it, your own word and play around with it. So.
yeah, thanks so much for sharing, Susan. I'll make sure that goes out in the follow-up email as well. You're right that'll be a really helpful resource.
The
So I really
biggest difference
appreciate that.
between mine and patients is I have added the state voter hotline, which will be open all day on election day and is open every day, actually. But I was on a state thing and they were letting us know that hotline was a good one to use. So.
Yeah, that's the one that they have on the literature as well. And I see that Robin put the guidelines for Precinct 53-2 in the chat for everybody to have as well. Awesome. All right. Floor is open still.
One more question. The literature, you said you were going to get the literature, and then how do we get it?
So we will make sure to send out information about making sure you get copies of your literature, but you can go ahead and reach out to Devi at 1vc@durhamdemocrats.org to just so that we already have it on the list for distribution. And again, we'll kind of send out more information once we get those leaflets to make sure that anybody who hasn't kind of placed a pre-order will be able to get the ones that they need. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any recommendations for people like me who have a precinct that's generally been unorganized and doesn't have a lot of people involved right now? So like I'm certainly fine with actually volunteering to be a poll greeter as the chair, and I might have another person or two, but we don't have regular activities happening or anything like that. Any recommendations for how we might want to approach this as compared to say like the one that Robin shared, where it's like there clearly are like next steps people.
Yeah, I would say some more experienced precinct leads might have some great input on this as well. But I would suggest, reach out to maybe the Vote Builder team or Devi to help you figure out how you want to use that email list. I would suggest maybe not gathering poll greeters that way initially, but just reaching out and talking about the municipal elections, and you never know who's going to email back with more interest in getting involved. if you would like to set up an event, we have the event in a box and can help with that. So I think dipping your toes into maybe a little bit of maybe a social event or getting kind of an email list together. I also, might dip your toes into canvassing or phone banking. Again, there are resources for that. But, if you want to set up a longer chat, I'd be happy to talk more in depth about how we can best support a precinct like yours that hasn't historically been organized.
I guess I'm just wanting to think about like what I'm going to tell people, if I am doing the poll greeting, to get them involved, or to just, I could still forward people up to the county level because certainly there's lots of volunteering there. So maybe that's the best answer. And if they're interested in being involved in the precinct, I can note that. But I just feel
So
like I
you
don't have
mean
anything
like,
to offer at the moment.
so you mean like when you're actually poll greeting?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So we will, help provide like training and scripts for that, and we'll have a sign up sheet and maybe some more information about the Durham Democrats to share. But I think David will especially have some more helpful information about that coming out of his GOTV session tonight.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hope that's helpful. And Katie said, will there be vote today signs at the poll locations? That is a great question. Let me see how I can get the vote today signs
The
coordinated.
vote today signs at the poll locations are the counties, our Democratic, the Board of Elections votes. I don't put any of the vote today signs anywhere near the polls. Those are for out in other areas to drive people to the polls. So the polls right at the elections are the Board of Elections. They put that up saying vote here, vote here.
Perfect. Thanks for your input,
Well, I'm
Susan.
asking, there are two things that I say when I get names as I'm listing my up, that gives the Democratic Party accurate phone number and email to be able to contact you for the whole party, not just for your precinct. So, and that's to remind everybody that when you get your list of new signups, make sure a copy of it goes to your vote builder contact. So,
Yes.
and the people who volunteered as greeters, you need to report back to Vote Builder that they're then experienced greeters, because the next precinct chair after you might need to run a list of what they are, and there's a code for that.
Yes, that's very true. We definitely need to make sure that any additional information we gather, interested volunteers, poll graders, goes to the vote builder team so we can keep our information updated and keep volunteers engaged. So as we get kind of closer to this poll grading operation and kind of finalize exactly how we're going to put things together, I know that we'll be sharing more information to be especially about how exactly the process is going to work and reminding folks to make sure we get that information to the vote builder team. And Susan Bailey's, I'm pasting the link to the Durham Democrats candidate forum that we had in conjunction with the Durham Democratic Women a couple of weeks ago. We put that up on YouTube, so there's the recording of that forum, and I know that there are some other forum recordings out there. I just don't have those links on hand, so there's ours. All right, so something that I would love to touch a little bit more upon is, well, first I want to ask if there are any additional questions or topics to explore, but I think that kind of goes in line with, I want to ask more about if anybody has any ideas on the county level, specifically, do we need to get yard signs? Do we need to get additional literature? I know that in the past, we've kind of had maybe like a one pager with voting information. And I kind of had an idea about a one pager with like Durham Democrats information and a little bit more about us. But I would love to hear you all's ideas about that. So I'll go ahead and take Reed.
Yeah, this is not exactly related to that, but I was kind of circling back on something else that I was listening and got to intently focus on other people's comments and forgot to mentioned, but with the precincts and some unorganized precincts, is there a way that we can indicate in some of our internal documents like which precincts are well organized? Like I know I'm in 20 and we're well organized and have a lot of resources, and there are several that are like that. Somewhere that we can have people pointed to us. I am hopping like I'm picking up three different boat builder precincts just on my end to help support. But I think that might be a good resource for folks like Joel or and whomever also needs that information.
Yeah, that's a great question, Reed. So the state party has created like a fun little dashboard kind of map thing where you can kind of click on each precinct and see who the precinct chair is and their contact information, or see whether it's unorganized. I want to say that DeVete might have put them in the precinct folders, but I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. So if they're not in there, I will have him get those into the precinct folders, those kind of dashboard maps, so that every precinct leader or somebody who has access to those folders will be able to see those. And then I will also include the link to that in my follow-up email. Thanks so much, Reed. And then Darlene.
Are there any restrictions on what we can talk to people about other than endorsing candidates? In other words, can we talk to people about the No Kings Day?
Susan, you look like you have some input on that.
Chances are you've got a chance to do two questions and that's it. So I don't know. I try to stay democratic.
That's
But
how
of course
I
I've
am.
got my No Kings button on, so who knows?
Yeah, so I think whatever you have time for with your conversation with the voter, but I don't think there's any specific rules against that. All right, so I don't see any hands raised at this moment, so I want to share a little quick announcement, and then I'll leave things open for the next 15 or so minutes, but we're finished with the program. It wasn't a long PowerPoint. There will definitely be more to come. Again, I said, sorry, it's late, I'm messing up my words. There will be more to come. DeVete is currently learning more at his session, and so we'll have more details on all of this stuff to come, especially as we get closer to the poll greeting operation. So I really appreciate this chance to hear your thoughts, hear your questions, hear how some precinct leaders have done things in the past, and talk to you all about what we're thinking about and our plans. So I'm on to the little announcement now. It is Pride, Durham Pride. We will be joining the Durham delegations group at Durham Pride this Saturday. I hope that Saturday is the day that it is, because I just typed that up there, but I'm pretty sure that it's Saturday. So keep an eye out for the sign up link. It'll go out later tonight. Make sure that you all have that. And so we'd love to have you all there with us and with the Durham delegation at Durham Pride this Saturday. So that's our little special announcement. Again, will be shared via email with everyone. And Reed?
Is it the parade that
Yes,
that,
we'll
that
be
them could be
marching.
at? Okay,
Yep, we'll be
cool.
marching in the parade with the Durham delegation. Okay, Susan Bailey, 12 to 2 p.m. on Saturday. Where to meet? Finalizing that with the delegation right now. So all of that there'll probably be a sign up on Mobilize. I'm gonna do that right after we hop off this call. So that sign up will go out with more information, and more details will come as me and the Durham delegations finalize some things tonight and tomorrow. So happy that we got that on the books. Sorry for the late notification for that, y'all, but 12 to 2 p.m. on Saturday, more details to come. Sign up link will be out tonight. So would love to see you all there.
I've got I'm running a booth with folks that I work with, and the parade is 12 to 2, and I think it usually starts around like right the second thing at 2 p.m. that starts at 2 p.m. is going to be on Duke's East campus. So it usually will start on Main Street near Duke's East campus. So it'll be around there anyway. You'll probably be able to find it.
Yep, awesome. Thanks, Reed. And again, so excited to be there. Hopefully, we'll see you there, Reed. And yeah, again, more information to come. Keep an eye out for the sign up link. So that's the special announcement. And again, that's kind of all for the program, but I'm going to leave the room open here until 7:30. If anybody wants to chat more or has any more questions about municipal elections, anything else. So, for those of you that are heading out, I hope you have a great night. And for those of you that might want to hang around with me for the next 15 minutes, I'm open to chat. And I hope this has been helpful and more detailed information to come.
So I had a chat because I heard from the Indivisible group that Durham Democrats were being careful about not hosting the No Kings thing directly. And so the link is on the Indivisible and thing. Is that something that you can talk about? Is that just something they decided?
I wouldn't describe it that way. I would say that Indivisible has historically taken a really strong lead on that stuff, and we've participated, but they set up the No Kings event this time around, and we didn't really have the capacity to. So not that we're straying away from it, but they do a really good job of organizing those things, and we're trying to focus on municipal elections. So there's really nothing going on
Everybody
with that.
do their lane. Yeah. Okay, thanks. I didn't know if we should hesitate about blending that in terms of talking about folks. Okay, thanks.
Susan, what I do in a lot of these instances, because I still work with other groups, is just just kind of not mention that I'm leadership and the Durham Dems, and just give people information. So that's how I always approach it.
Yeah, but standing in front of a poll with I'm talking about Durham Dems, I gotta put that's my hat. That's where I was talking about in that hat. Can I still wear my Democratic Party stuff? I'm sure we can, but I just
Susan, this is Elizabeth.
Yeah, I mean, we're not endorsing Democrats against Democrats, so that's a different thing than you as a citizen saying, I'm working this as Durham Dems, but I'm also doing this as
I tell you, as a precinct chair, I don't get involved in anybody's campaigns in the primaries.
Susan,
it's
really more on No King's side than it is on the party side.
Okay, thanks.
To be able to register these events, because I've also been involved in a lot of them outside of the party, that No Kings requires it to be a nonpartisan event.
Okay.
We don't have to are partisan. No Kings can do whatever they want.
Good. That helps me know that they want to try to make that. I know they were trying to reach out to everybody kind of thing, so that probably helps. Okay, thanks.
I mean, with one of the things that the Durham Dems are trying to do is, kind of recover the brand of the Democratic Party in the first place, and so it makes a lot of sense that anybody that's affiliated with the Democratic Party is going to not want to, or that is agreeing with what we're doing, is not going to want to market it that way. So that's kind of how I look at it. It's really less. That makes a lot of sense, Elizabeth. How they're doing it. So
it's all over their website. You can't enter an event on their website and call it No Kings unless you say that you're nonpartisan.
Yeah. Well, yeah, then that probably is legality to how they fundraise as well, like Flip. So
anyway, that's the answer.
Yep. Thanks for sharing that context, Elizabeth.
No problem.
Thanks, everybody. Y'all take care.
Okay. Bye. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.